Guess who's back? Okay, I'm done. But guys, what's up? It's been a minute since you saw my face in a video. But I was like, yeah, everyone do. Oh, how many books I've read in 2023? My goal is 35. I'm literally reading. I'll show you. A Court Wings and Ruin. I'm only like 200%. Y'all, I started sobbing last night. Sobbing. I'm only like this percent through, so this much left. What am I gonna do when it's just the fact that I know it's going to end too soon before I'm ready for it to end, and that it's going to hurt me, and that I'm gonna have to reread these books like 500 times because no. But I just want to say let's get right into it. So the first book I read this year, which I think I started before the new year, I don't currently have with me. My cousin read it, finished it, and I've been fucking. No, my cousin currently has it, but she already finished it, and I keep forgetting to pick it up. Is right here, The Score by Elle Kennedy. I did rate it 5 stars, and I just think because I was already introduced to all these characters and stuff, I would probably say now like a 4.5, 4.75. I'm being really meticulous, but still, I'm not gonna I'm gonna just be okay with like the rating I gave it, because I remember I sobbed in it because it was a very, very sad part. But it's about Allie, which is Hannah's best friend, and Dean, which is I think Garrett's best friend, and Allie just recently broke up with her boyfriend, and to get just to take a breather, she goes to Garrett's like apartment comp thing, and while Dean's like there, Dean's known as the very woman pleaser, let's just say it like that, and Allie's like, and Garrett's like, dude, don't even think about sleeping with her, like, you sleep with her, same with Hannah. Hannah's like, do not sleep with her, and they both they end up sleeping together, and it was basically got drunk, and so then they start trying to fight off the feelings and start this like secret relationship, and I just loved it because number one, they were both very, very fit for each other, but also I just, after reading it, the way they thought of each other was like soulmate feeling. Like, I literally think about that book a lot, and it's like this series is so hard for me to read because like even though they are known for because they're so hockey players, they're like sleep around, they don't care. No, I want to read The Graham Effect so bad, but then again, I know if I read it, I'm going to sob, I'm gonna cry, because I love this book. These are soulmates, the way they talk about their girls, the way they defend their girls, the way they just it's just so good. So I gave that book 5 stars. It's very, very much spicier. I think it's one of the spicier books than the first two. I think the first two are spicy, but this one and On have been pretty spicy. So I would give this about a 6. If you're not, I would be a little more mature for this book. But that's the second book I read, which I do have. I think from now on I have all the books I read. I found it. Was We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han. I probably will speak some spoilers, so skip. At first, I read this too, so it's I do not like this. It felt very repetitive and boring, and I don't like it. But now I'm thinking of it, I go, nothing of it. It's more like a 3 star for me, maybe 3.5, because thinking about it and just waiting on it, it changed. And if you've read the books, you know. I love telling my cousin that, because she read the first one, did not want to read the rest, but I go, you have to. She didn't. I go, I know how it ends, right? I know everything that happens, and I could just ruin it for you. I'm like that, but I don't. I'm not a hateful person, but this book, I would say, does handle heavier I think the first one is more. It progresses into getting more a mature audience, but I read this. It's not very long. It's about Belly, again with the Fisher brothers. Conrad and Jeremiah have been been friends forever, and so. She's like, Conrad, after what happened in the second one, Conrad and her had that, they had that little they had that relationship, and it blew up. And then I guess after that blew up, Jeremiah became her first boyfriend. She's like, Jeremiah. I don't remember what happened in this. I'm trying not to spoil it, so I'm trying to read off the back. Jeremiah gets down and proposes, and then everyone's like, no. Steven, Conrad, Laurel, I forgot Laurel's ex-husband. We're like, no, especially Laurel and her ex-husband was like, we got married young, it was not worth it, it was not good for us. Especially I think Mr. Fisher was like, you need to wait, because they're barely, I think, graduating freshman in college. Like, you do not have a financial, you don't have a job, you don't have a financial, you can't just stop everything, get married, because it's gonna fail miserably because y'all don't have like the proper things. Like, no, we're in love. And so that's the whole thing that really goes down of like what happened with that and how things go down. I'm not gonna say who she ends up with just because that is a major spoiler, and obviously that's how you're finding out in the end. But like, again, this was the second book I read, and this one was okay, but so I was like, I need to pick me. Like, I did not love this book as much as I loved the last one. And so then I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I would say now 3.5, 4-star compared to compared to this one I'm currently reading, and compared to Asimov. Those two are masterpieces. But this one kind of follows the girl of the follows Feyre, a girl who has two older sisters and a dad. She takes care of the family. She's like the mother. Her mother passed away and said, hey, since I'm passing away, you have to take care of the whole family. Her dad cannot let her take care of the dad. Has a limp. Both of the sisters barely do anything around the work, so she hunts, she gets the food, she gets everything that they stand for, because they don't have much money. And so one day when she's hunting, she sees this huge wolf, and she's like, okay, kills it, takes it home, and her dad's like, that kind of looks a little different. And reminder, this talks about Fae, and you might have heard Fae from the Cruel Prince series, the Folk of Air series, and we all know Fae are bad, more like scary, beastly creatures, and just like, like, we need this. So then you just get to follow, in that wolf that came and like took her was Tamlin, and so you get to follow Feyre and Tamlin and their story, and then you get to follow with her going into the mountain and like her in the Fae world and all that. So those are the 3 books. And again, 3 points, like 3.5, 3.7, because it's the first one, and compared to the next 2 are way better. So these were the 3 books. So it was The Score, We'll Never Forget, We'll Always Have Summer, and then of course Thorns and Roses. And since like here it is, The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I would say definitely 5-star book. Very, very, very fast paced. Only bad thing is there's not really. It's just a lot of characters, and so it follows 8 very smart. Sometimes she sleeps in a car. She's very smart. She has a life planned out. And then she basically one day she's in school and gets called to the office, and turns out one of the Hawthorne brothers of this very, very, very big estate. It's like, you need to come down to my house. Turns out my grandfather left you in his will. I've never met you in my life. What in the world? She's like, what? I don't know your grandfather at all. And she got like a lot of the estate money, like more than anyone. The kids, the grandkids, triple that. And it kind of serves them right. They were all not nice to Tobias, and so she just figures out, like, and she's like, oh, this is not just a coincidence. Like, oh, like, she's really into puzzles and solving them, and he's really into that. Like, they were like, oh yeah, he has secret passages and all these stuff, and they figure it out. I tell you, the last one page is like, what? No. I was like sitting there, shocked to my core, caught me off guard, and it was super good. I loved it. Loved the love triangle. I'm really nervous for the next one, but I'm hopefully gonna start soon. Yeah, but I would definitely say, like, it did take me a month just to pick up reading pace, but it's still a good fast-paced book. Completely recommend for anyone who wants to get into reading and start with YA and not to be overcomplicated or undercomplicated. Like, it's just right. And then it was like maybe the tail end of March. It just took me a little while to finish, and I did like take a break on it for a few months, and then finally finished it. Was The 7 Husbands of Miss Evelyn Hugo. I would say this is more of a mature book, and it doesn't go into description of mature topics, but does talk about them. This book is heavily annotated. Like, oh, the annotations, mainly at the end. You could just see all that. So it follows basically a lot of her books follow celebrities in like today's world. Like, but just have different names. And this follows Evelyn Hugo, which is kind of like Marilyn Monroe and how her life started out as how she got into acting and all her different loves and all that stuff. And it's just very, very, very good, very encapsulating, immersive. Definitely deserves all the hype. I was very nervous to start this since this was going to be my first literary fiction, and when I tell you it felt beautiful to read. I didn't cry for it when I first read it. Kind of caught me off guard, but like I cried like a few recently for this book, because this book is so beautifully written and just shows like how hard it was in that time. Like it was like in the 50s where she started acting and how hard that was for a woman, how she got there. And it was very, very good. I read this and it just, I don't know why, but I read it and it was very quick, but it took me like 2 weeks to get it into, so that's why I only read like a book a month. Read this in March, I'm pretty sure. So then we read this, and then I started Akamov and took a break, but we'll come back. I finished out a few weeks later, and then I read, where is it? I can't find it now. Oh, Shadow and Bone, one of my top 5 books of this year. Everyone's like sleeping on it, but for me, it got me out of a reading, it got me out of a reading slump. It follows, it's in the Grisha verse, and the Grisha are kind of like witches and have special powers. Get the point. And it follows Elena Starkov and her best friend Mal, and Elena and Mal are both, and we need to write a petition of getting the show back. Why did they cancel it? I don't know. But it follows Elena and Mal, and they're both orphans, and Elena's a map maker, and Mal is like the brutes, the bronze. Everyone falls in love with them, good looking. And then when they cross the Shadowfold, like everyone's about closing it, and it's always been known as something dangerous and no way to pass it. Like there's like you have to go through it. There's no way around it. It's hard to survive. There's barely anyone can survive it. And while they're going through it, something bad happens, and they start getting attacked. And while Mal gets hurt, something happens, and the only way to quote unquote destroy the Shadowfold is by the sun summon there. And now while that happens, Mal gets hurt, and turns out Elena turns out to be a Grisha, and she starts going to it's very much like kind of a little bit of academia. I'm not gonna say dark academia, but you do get like school vibes. And it took me a little bit to kind of understand, but I still loved it. I would say 14 plus for the rating, but like definitely from at the time I like zoomed past this book 5 stars. Now I probably would still stick with it, but like it's crazy. I'm just really nervous to start Siege and Storm. Some people say it's really slow. It's not their favorite. It's fast in the beginning, slow in the middle, and then fast at the end. But like then again, I love Leigh Bardugo and I like her writing. Her writing was good. But like it was just so good. Like this book, I was in a reading slump, got me out of it. I read like 5 books that month. Love you, Leigh Bardugo. My favorite book. I think one of my favorite books of this year. And then I read a very controversial book that I rated controversially, which was Maybe Someday. Colleen Hoover. I recently read a Colleen Hoover book, and I'm like, Colleen Hoover books are good when I just really want a very basic romance book. Something I know how it's going to end. But like, I just read something, and I swear this series felt different, and it's very, again, probably a top book of this year. It's very controversial, but I loved this book. My friend gave me her copy, and I bought the whole series myself. But it's just like controversial, but everyone's like, Colleen Hoover's not that good, and I go, I enjoy her because it's like a younger audience, but I wouldn't like say she's my top favorite author. Like, I would still read a book by her, but like I have other favorite authors. And so it follows a 22-year-old Sydney who just found out her boyfriend and her best friend are dating behind her back, let's just say it like that. And so she's like, you know what, I don't like this. And in the past week, she's been listening to this guy play the guitar on the balcony, and she's like, he is a good songwriter, I like it. And so she walks out, and turns out he's like, hey, do you move in with me? And they start kind of getting romantical, and he's seeing someone, and there's some tropes that people don't like, and I can see that being very like not enjoyable. But I feel like, in my opinion, like seeing it from a teenage point of view and having this culture I'm living in, I can easily see like this being not understandable, not saying it's okay, but like almost like with this culture, how the pain from both sides, and like it was just so good. I would say definitely like 14, 15 plus, just because it does not, her other books are spicy, but this one really wasn't. But it does use some language and stuff like that. But a top book of this year, just because I enjoyed it for the fun of it. I didn't think too much into it. And then next, what did I read after this? I read, let me look at my stack. Oh, next I read Hook by Emily, I forgot her last name, and it's basically, it's not a reimagining of Peter Pan, and basically what happens is, Hook is younger and stuff, but Hook is like a club, and Wendy and stuff like that. I don't remember what happened. I read it on my Kindle, so I don't have it with me, but the main love interest is actually Hook, Captain Hook. But like stuff goes down, so the protagonist is Hook and the antagonist is Peter, and basically like that's how it happens. It's like very dark romance, very much 17, 18 plus, like some spicy parts, dark romance. I kind of forgot what happened in it. Like it was still good. I gave it 5 stars, but I don't like remember hardly what happened in it. So then I think I took a break, and then in the summer I knew the first book I read in the summer, actually I read currently my brother's wedding, was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And this does serve the hype, but I do have some thoughts on it. And it's basically about Alice, and she one day lived a normal life, artist, living it, and then one day she just shoots her husband 5 times in the face and just stops talking. Just stops talking. And so then we have, what's his name? Theo comes in like, like everyone's trying to make her talk. I'm gonna make her talk. The twist did have me. I thought, I got this in the bag. I did not. It was very much, I would say 16, 15 plus. It does not have any talk about any special spicy scenes, but it does like say, oh, they had spicy scene, or and at moments it just talked about like him smoking and like stuff like that, and then him talking about like religion, and it just did not settle with me because I am like religious and I'm a Christian, and it talked about how his wedding with Theo's wife was like, oh, she didn't believe in God, but I believed he was there. It was very much like, I liked it, I just didn't love it for that part. So I was like, it's okay if I don't read anymore by him, but this book's still really good, serves the hype, very fast paced, recommend it. I gave it, I think 4.75 stars, just because like and then the religion stuff kind of put me off. And then I read one of my, like a top 3 book of this year, Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I literally have, I'll show y'all actually. Both of the books, but this one I saw when it was came out, and oh, it's not focusing. It's signed by her. I love it. Like, she's my recent. Ooh, that's not a cute angle. Look at that. It's a signed copy of hers, and she's like my new favorite. After reading this book, she's like my top auto by author. So Things We Never Go For. It's I think the least liked, but personally me, I loved it. It's like so far my favorite because it's the only one I've read. But it's about Nux and Naomi. Naomi, it is still, even though it's romance, a slow burn, it's still super fast paced. Naomi is a runaway bride. She did not want to marry the guy she was she did not want to marry the guy she was engaged with. She was like, cutting it off, ran out, and I think it was her twin evil sister set her up, took her car, took her phone, like crushed her phone, like, and left her with her unknown 11-year-old niece that she had no idea she had in this unknown town. And Knox is like a guy who owns a bar, like a restaurant bar and a barber shop, and he's like, what, I'll help you, jeez. Like, he's like Grumpy Sunshine, and they just were like, fine then, like, help me. And then just, it's Grumpy Sunshine, and it's so good. And it just, even though like, yeah, I broke this pen really bad. Even though like it's a slow burn, you still get like, you have that tension of them, you still yearn for them. Like this book made me want to cry afterwards. It's like I would watch these characters watch paint if I could. Like this one of the books is like, I want someone like Knox Morgan in my life. I want it was just so good. And I don't know how people don't like it. I can see, but again, I don't. It was a 5-star read. Love this book. I would say 17 plus. It has some spicy scenes, but it's not like, there are towards when they become like dating, but like if you don't like spice, I wouldn't really read it. I think it's okay, but thing on my watch is going. And then I read, what did I read? Oh, I think before I skipped a book. I read Unravel Me, the second book in the Shatter Me series. Aaron Warner. Aaron. This is not the part where they get like fussy, but it talks about like she escaped the reestablishment and now she's free with her plan as a weapon and free to love Adam. But Juliet will never be free from the lethal touch or Warner, who wants Juliet more than she ever thought possible. So basically she just talks about how they need to very much talking about how they need to destroy the what's it called? The reestablishment. A lot of Kenji vibes. I loved Kenji in this book. But it was like, how are we gonna destroy them? How are we gonna get past them? Blah 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 blah. And Adam, big baby, annoyed me so much. Oh my goodness, it was so annoying. And it was just like, so good. I'm ready for, I hope it picks up because this was good, like this last half. But I want more romance. I want more. And I would say 14 plus. 14 plus. And then I read, I'm trying to think. I skipped another book. And this was back in like, I read Maybe Someday, and then Maybe Someday, and Evelyn Hugo and Hooked was 14 Ways to Die by Vincent Ralph. This book, underrated, I feel like. Heckin' underrated. Short chapters. Quick writing. Only bad thing is, I feel like one was like one of the few books. Actually, no, I've read a few books written by men. It was one of the books I was written by a man that like I enjoyed, but it was just more of him. Like I don't mind him sometimes men writing women, and it depends. But it was him writing about a teenage girl, and it's just like a lot of cussing in it. I felt like it was kind of unnecessary in my opinion, but it talks about a girl, Jess, when she was 7, her mom got murdered by the Magpie Killer, and she was like the first, her mom was the first victim, but it wasn't the last. And then 10 years later, the killer's going on his rampage again, and turns out like there's this video show. She's like, I'm signing up, and explains her story, and she gets her own show. And during the show, the Magpie Man sends her letters being like, I'm gonna kill you, like you aren't safe now. And the twist got me. This twist, what? I would say it was good. I would pick up another book by him because it was really good. It was just the cussing I felt like, and I did not feel crazy attached to the characters. Like I forget I've read this book this year a lot until I look at it and I go, oh yeah, I read that book. And I hope like if I read another book by him, it would maybe entice it more. But I was like, you know, I did enjoy some of the characters, some of them I didn't, and that was part of it. But I do want to start another book by him. But I would just say, like, definitely go pick this up if you want a YA book. And I would say maybe 15 plus rating, like 15 plus, just because I like language and stuff. And then I read, all I can think next is what I read. I'm gonna just do my summer books, so I don't remember exactly how I read them. I read Maybe Not, and it's just the little novella, and the Maybe Now series, Maybe Someday series. And it talks about Warren and Bridget, and they are, it is Warren and Bridget, who are Bridget and Sydney's roommates and just talks about them falling in love, what they do, how they overcome it. Yeah, it's kind of short. I think I rated it like 4 stars. It is spicy, even though it's a novella, it is spicy. But it just talks about like all these characters, and there's not much to talk about. I would say definitely like 16 plus because it is spicy, even though it's a little novella. This is like the only spicy one in the series. And then I read one of my favorite books of this year, probably the favorite book of the year, A Court of Mist and Fury. This one I think has spoilers in it, so skip ahead if you've not read any of the series or going on ACOTAR. Skip it because I probably will spoil some stuff. So it talks about, spoiler warning, I'll put a timestamp right here of when to skip to. But this talks about Feyre and her life after Under the Mountain, when she defeated Amaranth and she came back to life as a High Fae, and her living with Tamlin, and she's like, oh, I get to be with Tamlin again. And this is when everyone's like, oh, we hate Tamlin. I'm like, oh, why? He is a butthole. But simply, he's a butthole. And he will not let Feyre leave the court, leave the house. She barely can leave with Lucy, and she's like begging him every day, please let me look outside. Like, it's like, please let me go outside and stuff like that. And remember, she had the mating bond, or I have to cut that out. She has like that tattoo from Rhys, and like at night she wakes up vomiting, like she's not enjoying her life here. And so she's getting married, and Enith is like the little like helper, and she gives her this ugly wedding dress. It's ugly. And she's like about to walk down the aisle, she's walking, and right before she gets there, she's like, help, I don't want to do this. She could not move. And so I can't even like think of a word to comprehend how much I love this man, Rhysand. And he's like, hey, y'all remember the little bargain we had that once a month for 1 week she comes with me to my court? Oh yeah. And she's like, when they get there, they're like, so how did you know? Like, how did you remember? You didn't get me like, and she's been out from Under the Mountain for a few I think about a few months. And he's like, well, I heard you through that tattoo of yours, you were asking for help, so I came and help. And he's like, you have mental shields, like you need to learn, like he can see everything. So she starts training her. She goes back. He's like, what did he do to you? Did he hurt you? He's like, Tamlin's like worried, and she's like, he was fine, he was nice, he's not mean, he's kind, and all these things. And she's like, okay, well, you can't leave anymore. You cannot explore. And Bryson's like, you should be able to explore. You're like Fae now. And one day she tried to leave, and he does not let her in. He shields her in, and she starts like freaking out, getting dizzy. Like she starts calling out. And so Rhys's sister is like, let me help you. And she goes and lives with Rhysand. And during that, like, you find out so much stuff happens. And it it's so good. So good. And it just is equally as good as this one. I think this one might be better than this one. I don't know, but they're both. I love them so much. But like this one literally is just like so good, and you just get like such a sweet, like how we thought Rhys was in the beginning, how like everything just unfolds, and how he's not as bad as everyone seems. He's not evil, he's not mean or rude or unkind. He's very soft and sweet and caring and loving. So that was basically this one. I definitely give this like a 10-star book. It's a 10-star book. There's nothing compared to this book. I love this book so much. It makes me yearn. Like I cried for this book the other day. Definitely 17 plus. There is a spicy scene. If you don't know, chapter 50. Oops, I'm gonna cut that out. There is some spice in that book, but it's like maybe 1 or 2. But like I just want to know if you don't like that. It is 17 plus, I would say. And then, you know, and then in August, then I read that was in This Is Not for School, and this is again like another short book by S.E. Hinton. Again, top book of this year. Even though it's for school, I still enjoyed it. If this name S.E. Hinton sounds familiar, she wrote, it will focus, The Outsiders right here. And one of my favorite books I've read last year, and this woman can write a book. It's basically in the same universe as The Outsiders, but it's just like told from a different character. You still see one character reappearance, and it yearns. Like, it's so good. It's basically about Brian and Mark and their childhood best friends. They're like basically brothers. Brian struggles. Was it Brian? No, it was Mark. I'm pretty sure who struggled and lives with them, and you just get to see their life, how they change and what happens. And I would say definitely 13 plus, because it does talk about heavy topics and very heavy stuff, and it's very sad and talks about friendship and falling out and stuff like that. And it very much hits home with all of teenagers, because you always have those falling outs with your friends. So I would definitely give this book 5 stars. These two are like my favorite books of the year, because I read them. I think I read this and then I read this, or I read this and then this, but. And then I'm gonna skip to August. I think that was July. August. Let me just gather the books I read in August. I read you in August. I think I read you in September. August. Oh, no. I'm skipping one. I missed one. Completely, I missed one. What the heck? But this is in June. Every time after. I did not like this book. I'm saying about 2.5, 3. It's about a girl named Persephone, and she goes to this lake house every summer, and she meets Sam. And her and Sam are like childhood best friends. They have a falling out, and then they meet up again years later because Sam's mother that passed away. Again, like, she grew up with these people since she was like a teenager, and she's like, that happens. I would say definitely there is a spicy scene in this book. 16 plus. I just did not enjoy it. I did not find the female main character very enjoyable. Found her very annoying. In the now timeline. In the past, she was okay. I liked the brothers in the past and some in the future, but it was just, I did not enjoy it as much as I did. Like, don't see me continuing the series or reading another book by her. Plus the author, I just did not love this. Did not like it. And though I don't remember if this is in August, but I know the way I read it. Then I read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. And if you don't know, this follows in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. And it talks about Pip. She's graduated. She's going to college. And she's like, I need, and she's been struggling with, what happened in the last book, how it ended off, and how, she needs to handle that. And, she's, cannot fully function. She's very sad. And it's just, changed her. And she goes, I just need one more case to finish. Then I'll be done. I won't do this ever again. Because, she's gotten death threats. And stuff like that. And it's just really weighing down. And she does one about a man who was rightfully wronged in this. And turns out, this man's actually been stalking her and emailing her and sending her all these things. And it unfolded quickly. I remember I had 190 pages. I'm not gonna be able to finish it. I read it, listened to someone while I cleaned my room. I listened to an audiobook on YouTube, and I cleaned my room was spotless. I need to do that again with another book like this, because I cleaned my room and it was spotless. I did a sticker book while listening to this. It was so pooping good. 5 stars. Again, another top tier book for this year. Loved it. Love it. And then I read what I think I have to read next. Yes. Was Promises of Pomegranates. My first, my second dark romance of this year. It talks about Elena. Elena's in this a kind of family. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but she's very pure flower girl. Nothing can hurt her. And then Cal, who I think works with her father, is I can hurt you. You see my books? You can see my books. Cal's the bad boy, and they just. And basically, it's just their story and how it's an arranged marriage turns out to be, because Cal has something on her, and them falling in love. It's very much smut with no plot, basically. And I would say if you're in the mood for that, go ahead and read this book. But then again, like I did get like a little bit of like love, like true love at the very end. But it's like I have like 18 plus, 17, 18 plus. It's very spicy. Yeah, definitely like be mindful of that. But like still a good book, like 4.5 stars. Like I liked it if I just wanted some spice. And I think the next I read, what next did I read? I think next I read One of Us Is Back by Karen McManus, and it follows the One of Us Is Lying, and it's about 2 years after Simon died, but you have from the first book all them, and then from the second book all them, and a few added characters. And aftermath have been hard. And so basically everyone's back home for summer. They're chilling, vibing, having a good time, but then they see a mysterious billboard say, "Time for a new game, Bayview." But the member of the Bayview crew disappears. It's clear that this game is serious and whoever's in charge isn't sharing the rules. Or maybe they aren't any. Brownon, Cooper, Addie, Nate, Maeve, Phoebe, Knox, Lewis, Chris, everyone's a target, and now that someone's unexpected has returned to Babe. So basically just them, kind of on the same premise of like both of them, but this time I would say 3 stars. I just honestly I feel like I only like the first one, and I like Karen McManus, so I feel like this kind of dragged on a little bit. I don't think we need a second or third book, but I still enjoyed her writing. I still enjoy seeing the original 4 Bayview cast. I just did not enjoy the second one, which I think put me in a downfall for this one because I did not like the second one. I would say definitely no spice in this one. It's YA, so I'd say 14 plus because of language and then like heavy topics. But yeah, like it's good. It's just not something like I prefer. I'm kind of ready for a different series from her. Oh, it's getting very tall. I would move it towards, but it's getting very tall that might fall and hurt me. Then I read I did grab the book. I missed another book I read in June. Oh my goodness. Then I read Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. I did not love this book. I read it in 3 days, but I did not love it. I would say 3 stars. Everyone was like, "This is so cute." I felt so repetitive with the main female character. She was always like, "I'm wasting my summer. I'm wasting blah blah blah." I'm like, okay, girl, if you're like, it was just very repetitive, and it's basically about senior year, and they get to play a game of sardines, and she's paired up with her academic rival, and they start playing together. It's in the short span of a day. It was very hard to follow. I feel like I would like to pick up another Rachel Lynn Solomon book, because everyone says her writing's really good. I just did not enjoy this book as much as I thought I would, because everyone's like, it's really good. Not my cup of tea. I would say it's meant to be YA. There is a spicy scene. I would say 15 plus. So I'm getting tired if you can't tell. But then I think I read the next few reads. I know I will. Then I read the last book in the selection series, The One. This. I'm kind of sad it ended, but then again, I didn't love the second one. This one was good, but I just feel like I should have read them closer together, because that's my problem. I did not do. This one is about she's starting to fall in love with Maxim, but then still like kind of trying to break up with Aspen, and it's like doing that, a lot of political stuff. I did not love this book. It's very much YA, and again, the southern side, I think it's the southern, one of the rebels really like aggressively fighting, and it's like the king, like, you cannot marry her, Max, and she's trying to change history, and she's trying to change it for good. I would say 3, 4, not a 5 star, but I do like it. I'm trying to keep this low because I want to go read and like sit down and watch TV or something. And then I read because I felt like I was just doing a lot more slower. The Goal and the Off Campus, here's the last like one, and then they have like the little like the Legacy, which is like a little baby novellas album. This one, definitely my favorite. John Tucker. No, Tucker. I don't know why I said John Tucker. Tucker? Underrated, y'all. Talks about Sabrina. She has her life planned out. She is going to law school, becoming a lawyer, doing all that. And then it's like, Tucker's like, you know, like, I just want a girlfriend. And like, he's very sweet, nurturing. And he's like, you know, they started sleeping together, and surprise, surprise, something happens, and they're like, well, that's not what stayed on mind. It was still very good. Like, I think this is my favorite one of the whole series. 18 plus for rating, or it's 17 plus for rating, but it's just like, you got this nurturing side of him, and like her just wanting, like, and this like side of her wanting to be loved and didn't know how to, because she grows up in this really rough family with her, you get the point. Her like struggling with her grandma and stuff like that. So yeah, I was saying 70 plus in my hair about the whole series. And then I was like kind of on a row. I read The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, finished it, DNF'd it last year. About a year ago I DNF'd it, and I was like, you know, like everyone says the second, third one are way better, especially the third one. So I was like, and you know, I don't want to give Lauren Asher, I didn't love originally the main female character, but I read it. It's basically about this girl named Zara, I think, and she drinks a little too much, gets a little drunk, and sent a wordy email, a very mean email, talking about the recent land, Nebula Land. It's like Disney, about Nebula Land, how it's very much like her ex-boyfriend like took all her ideas and used it, and how like that wasn't fair. And Ronan's very much grumpy billionaire, which I love grumpy billionaires. I was like, oh, okay, so if you want to talk like that, you can come work for me. And she works for him, and they fall in love, and it is spicy. So 17 plus rating, I would say now, finishing it, 3.75. I would, even though I didn't have to, it's still good in the end. I'm just like, the other brothers are better. So 3.75, this was good. You got, I think in the end you got more maturity from her, and then him actually like admitting his feelings, not being a big baby about it.